Hello everybody, всем привет. I've been building a lot of new features, and one of the things that I noticed is that the AI was starting to randomly load the ICN files, uh, just sort of on demand when it would create new files, and um, it was bothering me that I had created this structure resources.cpp to load all the different ICN files for each. Like this is an example of an ICN file in. This is our hero screen ICN file. So these are the actual images that are inside the for the hero screen. And same thing. This is like the castle screen. Uh, this is like the base frame of the castle screen. These little backgrounds are for each creature faction in the castle screen. So basically, each of these is a resource that the game needs to load into memory to display in the actual game. And I have a number of different screens. I've got the castle screen. I've got something that happens when you get an in-game event. You know, something like oh, whoops, that's the melted screen. Something like this triggering. That's the event screen, for example. Let's see. I've got the hero screen, the kingdom screen. When you cycle to a new day, there's some animations with that loads some ICN files. When you get a level up, it loads like the portrait. And also I threw in event actions too, but I basically dumped in all of this code, and I said I want to make sure that my images are being loaded into the same resource file and being imported correctly into the files that use them. I suspect some of the files might be loading the images directly. The images are sprites in filename.icn, and then inside the ICN there are decoded bitmap files. The abbreviation for a bitmap file is BMP, by the way. These should be loaded in resources.cpp and referenced in the files that need them. Can you look over the code, see if you can help me find any instances of a file loading ICN files and sprites independently instead of through the resources.cpp file? Doing an architectural review, let's do it in two phases. Let's read the code and understand where the extra import references might be, and then after we summarize it, we'll make changes that might be needed. It is possible that no changes are needed, but let's look and find out. Code review time. So I was pretty sure it needed some changes, but I was too lazy essentially to go in and actually read the files and say, here's I know this is happening. I was just kind of suspecting it was happening. So AI reads. Overall structure looks good that we have this resources file. And we're loading the hero screen resources, castle screen resources, kingdom screen resources. But the strip.icn, which is this background, is being loaded twice, both for the hero screen and the castle screen. Then we have the resource.icn, which if I go up a level here, let's look at resource just to show you what is inside that. How about we open a new tab? There we go. So resource displays these images, and that's being loaded in hero screen and castle. Let's see, nope, that's being loaded in castle screen and kingdom screen. The ICNs for portraits are being located in hero screen and castle screen. They're each loading all 36 portrait files. And monsters ICN, monsters 32, are being loaded in hero screen and castle screen. And then I have this image to texture function, so converting the bitmap files to the SDL texture is happening in just about every file. And it says there's already a version in render utils probably that these should use. And I checked in render utils, and indeed I do have this function. So this stuff was all pretty clean, it said. The hourglass, BR, crest, sun, moon, these are only loaded in new day res. And the flags, ICN, ground tiles, cursor sprites, those are all only loaded in resources.cpp. So all of the map files, those are loaded correctly in resources.cpp. Here is a little table. So resources was not loading the strip, these resource images, the portraits, and the crests. Those are being loaded in castle and hero screen both independently. Monsters was being loaded in all three. An image to text helper function was everywhere. So there was some some stuff that had leaked in. And then it's the cleanest fix it suggests would be moving the strip ICN and resource ICN portraits, crests, and monsters into resources as a shared top-level arrays, or a shared top-level data structure, and then have the load methods retrieve those rather than reloading it. So basically moving this duplicated stuff into resources so that it's only loaded once, and then you just call a reference to that memory where it's loaded. So this is just being more memory efficient. It's how a good programmer would design this. And the AI, this is one of the critiques people have of vibe-coded stuff, is that the AI will sometimes do stuff like this. And it's when a programmer looks at this, they say this is garbage. Why would you do this way? This is broken. Certain people would throw up their hands and declare a need for a whole rewrite. Or you can do what I'm doing, which is just have a look, make some suggestions to refactor it, and do a little bit of review work, which is what we're doing, and then resolve the issues. So yeah, I did find this image to texture function in my render utils library. So let's reuse that. Let's fix the duplicate crest and portrait and resource and strip functions. I thought about maybe doing this as a separate file, and I'm going to work on battle screens at some point and load in all the battle sprites, the spell sprites, different things like that. I think we should probably make a separate battle resources file for that. But let's see, let's just keep planning. I'm just planning with the AI here. So let's load everything in resources.cpp, all this user interface stuff, the routes, the fog of war, the flags when you flag a structure. Let's load all of that into resources like we were doing. And let's take also the small crests, so this thing here, the stone back, which is this little background here of this mini status window here. The locators, which are these icons. The scroll, which is for these parts of the scroll bar here. The new day rollover assets. So we have this hourglass. There's I guess it's called like a background crest. And the sun moon icon when we click new day. These animations are also loaded there. And I haven't loaded the ultimate artifact puzzle yet. It's in puzzle.icn. That'll be loaded here. But we should have like a separate info screen resources, I was thinking, where we take the backgrounds for the town, the stone background for the buildings, for the building screen or the castle options screen, the actual buildings on that, the town window icons, and also the stuff that is frequently used by the system. And yeah, and then I resuggest the battlefield resources, which will handle the basic battlefield backgrounds, the standing, walking, attacking, shooting sprites, tents, ballista, projectiles, castle walls, hero sprites, morale, luck, and spell animation sprites. So that's all going to go in battle resources.cpp. I haven't implemented that yet, but I'm just putting it in here, and probably at the end of all this, I'll do some documentation, and hopefully this note makes it in there. So it says, all right, good plan, let's review it. It actually makes a recommendation different. So it says keep the screen resources in their own CPP files, but consolidate the shared ICN data into resources CPP and pass pointers and spans. So we load it once in resources CPP, and then we pass the pointers that point to those images that are loaded in memory. So the screen files, hero screen, castle screen, and kingdom screen, each own a legitimate cohesive set of screen-specific assets. So these background BMPs, so they each have a background BMP that's in the base heroes AGG, but then they have specific screen ICN files. So there's hero screen, well, legend is that's not exactly correct. And then overview.icn. So overview is for the kingdom overview screen. I guess I'm calling that the kingdom screen. And the hero screen is the when you click on the hero and it brings up, you know, their artifacts and the creatures and their stats, things like that. So it suggests the shared assets should live in resources, and it also matches the precedent set by building.icn and town wind ICN, which are already loaded centrally in past parameters. So resources CPP owns all the ground tiles, the fog, and the border, all the adventure user interface stuff, the new day rollover, and then this build event UI. And then we're promoting portraits, crests, monsters, the background strip, and the resources all to these shared resources up there. So it's a resources CPP. And then the hero screen gets the hero screen background, the hero screen ICN. And then all of these get changed over to using the higher level resource file. Castle screen has the town backgrounds, legend, which exits, and then big bar, which is at the bottom. Also, all of the different faction buildings and these actual, like, images of the shared structures, like the mage guilds, the dock, the well, tavern, thieves guilds, all of that stuff. But all the drawing logic is from resources. And the kingdom screen uses the over main BMP, and then these the over band 0 to 3, which is the color banner for your hero. And then the overview ICN are the various sprites that are used to display the assets and resources there. And then this is a future projection here. So this sounds okay to me. I call out, like, hey, you know, in event CPP, I also actually, so first I mentioned that building ICN and Stoneback from resources CPP, those are only used in the castle screen. So why don't we demote those? Let's actually demote those from resources.cpp and push them down into the castle screen. So let's actually just load those there, because those are the only place they're used. Town window should stay because it's used mostly in town, but the image border is used in events. Same with system.icn. It's used in events on the map and inside the castle screen, and should be globally available in resources.cpp. I throw in events CPP so that it can also see that I use events, because I actually do use the border from townwind.icn for the level up. There's a border on the level up portrait that you get. And maybe I can level up quickly here and show you what that looks like. So see, I've actually added this since then. I've added this border. This comes from Town Wind, and so that's why that needs to be in resources CPP, because just arbitrarily they put that border in townwind.icn. Legend.icn should that be promoted from castle screen to resources CPP because it might be used in other screens to exit. So legend is all this is. All legend ICN is just a single exit button. And I'm a little confused as to why they did that, but this is all that's in legend.icn. So I was like, well, maybe we'll use that exit button somewhere else. I think it's for like different maps. When you call like view all or view resources, it shows you a map, has a little legend up here, and then there's an exit button here. And so I'm pretty sure that that's what that's for. That was the first exit button I found, so I started using it to exit the castle screen. And there are several exit buttons, so it could be that I'm using the wrong exit button, but for now, I'm just going to leave legend.icn. I want that actually pushed higher in case we use it somewhere else for an exit. And then I see you've omitted event CPP. It loads from bybuild.icn. Bybuild up here, if you remember, is this. So these are parts of the these event screens when an event happens. So these screens are part of bybuild. And I actually was previously using the hero screen. I was using these icons, this experience icon, but instead it should actually be EXPMRL. So it should actually be this experience icon instead. And I've updated it here, so you'll see this is a later build. So I expressed here that I wanted to reference this, a new ICN that replaced the hero screen ICN in the events file. I think bybuild ICN, system ICN, and EXPMRL should be referenced from resources so that events load from the general resource loading also. So I'm promoting those because when I call events, there's stuff with the battle screens, there's events on this screen, there's buying and transacting in the castle, buying structures, buying creatures, all of that stuff. This should be loaded in the top level resource file, not in just in the castle screen or just in the event screen. It needs to be loaded top level. Two more things to load globally. I want to load spells and book ICN, and I'll just show you quickly what those are. This is the spellbook graphics in book, and then spells is down here. These are all the icons for spells, and then the like not able to cast or not able to target for spells is the 30th icon here. There's 0 through 28 are the 29 spells you can cast, and then this is the cursor for battle for not being able to target a creature or maybe a castle wall. I don't know if you can target castle walls with spells in Heroes 1, but anyway, reviewing the review the updated event CPP, and that includes the so I had manually updated this expmrl.icn loading instead of hero screen ICN just in the events. So I wanted these events to start using this. So okay, it looks at everything, comes up with another architecture plan. So it moves it moves by build system exp mrl. Let's see, it restates this. Talks about removing the duplicates, and then talks about the shared helper cleanup. And I noticed that it says, the AI says here, legend ICN stays in castle screen. So where was that here? There's castle screen. Yep, legend ICN stays in castle screen. The exit button is only used inside the castle screen. And I said, no, this actually is, like, it's true for the moment, but in the future I expect other screens will reference the legend.icn exit. That's why I want to move it up. And then I said, let's do a final check on level up, CPP, and new day, and do those need any changes too? It checks. There's no changes needed for level up and new day because they are already loading things from resources. So that looks good. So now the new plan with my legend ICN correction incorporated is we're going to load all this stuff in resources, including the spellbook. We're promoting the event dialog UI and the shared cross-screen portraits, hero crests, non-hero crests that are displayed in the castle, the monster frames, the background strip frames, and the resource frames that are used to display like the wood, mercury, ore, stuff like that. Exit button is promoted from castle screen. Town UI stays where it is, which is in resources CPP already. All the new day stuff is already there. All the adventure UI stuff is already there, and all of the map stuff and the routing, the mini monsters, the stone border, the fog of war, all of that is already in resources. The castle screen just has the town backgrounds, big bar, which is at the bottom of the castle screen, the faction building ICNs, the Thieves Guild Tavern, well, Mage Guild, dock. Dock is the shipyard. Building ICN is demoted back from resources, and stoneback.bmp is demoted back from resources. So I'm moving those out of resources back to the castle screen. And then it's removing these pieces here, the strip, the resources, portraits, crests, monsters, legends. That's strip, by the way, here. Hero screen keeps the hero screen stuff, but no longer loads the portraits, crests, monsters, and strip. It uses this. This is actually a mistake here. This is it interpreting. Yeah, I wish I'd caught that, but this is a mistake, which I guess I'll show you in a second how I... But this was evidence that it was going to do something funny right there. And then the kingdom kingdom screen just doesn't load resources.icn. It will incorporate that via a pointer from the general resources.cpp. Event.cpp, I guess the change here, if there, yeah, there is one. So it's caching things for on-demand ICNs, which is going to be things like artifact images, or if we pick up some resources, if we get some experience, this kind of stuff would be loaded from resources.cpp, and there was no change to level up. So say, okay, let's write the code now. Does it in various steps. So it does resources first, hero screen, castle screen, kingdom screen, and event changes. Gives me all these summary files, gives me new resources, hero screens, castle screens, and then some patch files to go in and make the changes. I discover a couple things here where there were some local accessors that I thought should probably be removed or changed or something. Called that out. it pointed out, oh yeah, there's a few more. I found some other spots in the code that I wasn't sure where this namespace update went. And I also thought I should probably remove a couple of the, I should probably remove this resource headers in Kingdom Screen Resources because we were no longer loading those directly. And, yep, remove that, it said. This is what it should look like afterward. And then I ask about this draw experience info box, and it says actually no, it doesn't need anything because your experience info box isn't loading any images. And I was like, oh yeah, I guess that makes sense. You're right, AI. So then I do some compilation. I get a whole bunch of crazy errors in my compiler. You know, we made all these code changes. We basically test it with the compiler and see, hey, does this compile? Did our changes break? Well, a lot of things broke. It parsed my errors and told me what to change. There were quite a few things that just straight up missed. Okay, great. I gave it some suggestions here of, so the open build dialog in event.h is this, but we're calling it, okay, I don't remember what the point of this one was, but there were two redundant references up here where it said like these are the same replacements. So I was like, what do you mean by this? Because this res-resource frames is the same as res-resource frames. They're in different files, but like, what does that mean? I don't understand what it's saying there. So I called out those points and said, these last 2 points seem redundant. What does that mean? So you're right. Explained it a little better. It's the same fix stated twice. I think I had made this change already, or maybe I was missing this part. So I ran through a couple more iterations of just debugging these, you know, little things where the signature didn't quite match. Chased down a few more bugs, and so now everything's compiling, but now the exit button on the hero screen was changed randomly to legend by you. That was dumb. Also, the morale luck experience box was correct before, correctly using icons from heroescreen.icn, and now it's loading things from the exp mrl ICN instead. That was not supposed to change for hero screen. So let me show you what that looked like. This is the weird legend button, crammed, or somehow it looks like it's melting here. It does work. It still works, which is cool. And then this up here, this box was just straight up broken. So I was like, well, that's strange. It still works. I can see how much experience I have. And if we go look at the castle here, the castle screen has been changed. So it says, yep, you're right. Legend.icn was promoted to resources for future screens that don't yet have their own exit button. The hero screen already had a working exit button from heroescreen.icn, and that should have stayed untouched. Yep, so that's that. The AI understood my complaint. And then expmrl.icn, which again we can go check out what that is here. This was these different icons. It was promoted to resources because event.cpp is using it for dialogues. The hero screen was already correctly drawing these values, using these smaller icons versus the larger icons. this was being correctly drawn in events, so we didn't need to change that. Or not in events. This was being correctly drawn in the hero screen, and these were changed to now draw correctly in events. Using these bigger icons, like this one for luck and this one for experience, and I think for the morale ones, like if you visit the graveyard, your morale is going to go down. If you visit an angel statue, your morale is going to go up. But back here, it somehow decided to replace these icons with with these from X morale. So that was inexplicable. I don't know. And then I also, noticed in the castle screen that this background frame here had broken as well. So it gave me some fixes, and in the castle screen I can show you. So this is in strip here. In strip we have. So we want it to be this. This is what we actually want to be displaying here. Instead, it's displaying either 2 or 8. I think it's actually 8 that's displaying here. And I looked in castle screen and I found the strip, it's called here. This was loading 8, and that should be 0. So we're loading sprite 0. We're loading this thing again. I have no idea why the AI just randomly changed this to, from 0 to 8, because this was 0 before, and now it's 8. And in the hero screen, I made a bunch of updates to basically fix things, including the this background ICN for the hero ICN, which I can show you there, is if we look here on the hero screen, this background has now been replaced by 005, which is this border. So the attack was 004. I don't know why these sprites were ordered in this way, but 3 is the correct background for this, and it had previously been 5. So the AI just inserted 5, and so I kind of knew. I was like, oh, I think that's what's going on there. And so anyway, I made those changes, and let's just do a quick new build here and see if those are fixed, which I'm pretty sure they are, but it's always good to double check. So 1 second here, we're almost compiled. A lot of little files. Okay, there we go. All right, so castle screen is now, it now has the correct background. So we fixed that issue. Hero screen, now this looks correct. We do get our level 1 status. The exit now looks correct there. And the experience here now looks a little better. Level up screen looks better. So this is looking a lot better. The castle screen is looking better too. Let's see. We still can't afford to build anything because we don't have any resources. We just have 1,000 gold. But we can potentially recruit a hero, but when I left click here or right click, nothing happens because I haven't wired that one up yet. But yeah, we've refactored this now, and there's one thing I wanted to test here. These are all working, but if we move not able to target the castle screen. That's no event implemented when we're there. But if we're back here in the castle, clicking on the hero portrait now takes us to the kingdom screen. That's supposed to take us to the hero screen. So that's one quirk that's also been introduced here. So that's the last bug to fix. But otherwise, we have refactored the loading of all of this memory. Now things are kind of loading where they're supposed to be, and the biggest fix that we really did was getting rid of all of this duplicate loading. Our first analysis up here, we determined there was a lot of duplicate loading. So the hero screen, castle screen, we're loading things. We had this image to texture structure in every single method. So we compressed all of this down. That shrinks file sizes. That makes it easier for the AI to process things. And it doesn't set this precedent of like just load stuff as you need it, because that is kind of the default behavior of the AI, and you don't want that. that is not ideal. It's why vibe coding gets a bad name, because this kind of stuff happens. Nobody looks at it or fixes it or even really thinks about it much. So when you are doing vibe coding like this, you have to do some maintenance, cleaning things up, breaking out files, checking for redundancies. And we'd done enough work in the last week or so that it was about time to do it again. And I wanted to fix this hero screen and kingdom screen bug in the castle screen. So when you're clicking on the crest of the castle, whether a hero is present or not, it should take you to the kingdom overview screen. And when you click on the hero portrait, it should take you to the hero overview screen. And currently both are configured to now take you to the kingdom overview screen. And I looked in the code, and the AI had changed this randomly, again, without me asking, to this garrison crest hit or hero crest hit. And not castle exit screen pressed. Then we're going to open the kingdom screen, but the castle music continues. So I expressed to it like, hey, this was working in the original files, but seems to have changed now, and it opens the kingdom overview screen. Can you help me do a small inline fix for that in game main CPP? I think the code is here, so I pasted in this block of code. It's not really readable there, but just basically castle summary screen events. I've got some well, it's really this garrison crest hero portrait kingdom overview version here, and this this is the block that needs to change. These are the actual like X and Y values of what's going to change. The AI gave me some code here to pop in, so this just splits up this logic here. So we're going to put that in, and I'm going to change this, slightly change these comments here. Actually, no, I don't really need those anymore, because it happens, but I wonder, it might be just a little nicer if we define the hero portrait down here next to that. That looks a little nicer. So let's save this and let's run a quick compile. So okay, there was no build directory because I'm usually saving my builds, not always, but I like to save them at incremental progress points so that I can go back and show. Okay, it didn't like something here. This garrisoned hero index. Well, almost. I could look that up, but so let's just make this slight update here. And give it another test compile. Move the build, run the make file generation, and then run the actual make. Okay, and there we go. Okay, that is now working. And let's go here, and I'm just going to build something. I don't have the animation working for this, but it did appear, so that's cool. Yeah, so I have refactored all the image loading. The code's a lot cleaner. It's going to be easier to deal with. And then I fixed, the handful of bugs that were created by the AI as I did this. It was randomly changing a few things here and there, and it randomly changed the behavior of my castle screen also, which was a little unexpected, but I made the changes in the code. I did the test compile, make sure everything compiles, and then I inspected the code and checked for correct behavior, and I believe I found all the bugs. Hopefully there's no others that have been introduced, but we'll see. And I'm pretty confident we can catch them in the future if they were. But this project isn't gigantic. It's getting bigger now, but it's not unmanageable. But it is really helpful to do this, to detect this stuff every so often and do a code review. AI assisted code review is a good move sometimes, and it definitely removing this duplicate function and removing these duplicate loads. I have a ton of memory in my computer right now. I think I have like 32 gigs of memory, and this game was originally running on like 16 megs of memory in Windows 95 or something like that. So it didn't, memory isn't really an issue. We could get away with this, but it's just much better practice. Like, I just feel better. I'll sleep better at night knowing that I'm not not loading the ICN files and all the sprites in them multiple times. It's going to help me sleep at night.